I saw a girl in the mirror, she was bolder than me. She looked proud, dressed in silver, and she ruled like a queen. But no matter how long I would stare in her eyes, I never not once saw me. I recognized my mother in the way that she smiles. Tell she's my father's only daughter by the sides of her mouth. But no matter how long I would stare in her eyes, I'll never not once, no, never not once stop.
Bogies appear to be coming, jinking to the right now, heading north. Good kill, good kill!
Die gute?
Good morning, Jet fans, and welcome to another week. Can't believe we've been doing this for 24 weeks of Season 1 of SATAL. This week pits 36 Stormo versus ITGC, now known as number 15 Battle Axes, but this should be an exciting week. And before we get into that, I want to talk about our sponsors real quick just so we can get that out of the way. But let's jump in, talk about our sponsors, because without them, this wouldn't be possible. If I could get to the right page. Buddy Fox, for all you guys, we had their giveaway last week. If you guys haven't seen their UFC, go check it out. It's an amazing product. I have one. It was done by the Nokia engineers. They did all the buttons and stuff, but Bamsey and the other guys for Buddy Fox have really outdone themselves. Lot ATC, Dart's been the man that's made this whole event happen. Without him, we wouldn't have the real ATC, GCI, and everything that's going on. If you guys aren't familiar with Lot ATC, 104th, he's using it now. It's a fucking awesome product, and it makes GCI and AWACS, in my opinion, way more realistic. So if you haven't seen them, give them a check out. It's really cool. TacView, of course, for everything. If you guys haven't seen TacView yet, you guys need to get on their shit, because debriefing and briefing with TacView just it changes the game. Huge kudos for him for donating advanced licenses, 6 for the winners and 3 for the runners-up. We use this tool daily on all of our flights in 51st. I know a lot of you guys do too. But if you guys haven't checked out TacView, it's free for the basic license. You got to pay for the advanced, but a lot of the stuff that the advanced license offers is worth it. And of course, Heat Blur for everything that they've done. really, it's without them, I wouldn't have been able to do so much. Joel wouldn't have been able to do so much with what we're doing here. But they're giving 500 euros away to the winners, 6 Tomcats or 6 Vigans, whatever you want to call it, for the winners, and 6 for the runners-up. So they've really allowed us to take this competitive DCS in a new direction, and it's been an amazing ride. So back to the talk show. Get rid of that dumb music that I forgot to change. But Joel's here with me. Joel, what do you... I know you just jumped into this late. Last week was your first round. What do you think is coming for today's matchup between the 36 Dormo and number 15 Battle Axes, formerly known as ITGC? How do you see this playing out? What do you think is going to happen here?
Well, not knowing a tremendous amount about either of these teams, I'm not quite sure what to expect out of this. You know, I can really only go off of what I see in the standings here, and based on that, I do think we're going to get a good matchup today. Just both teams seem to be kind of fighting for higher seeding here coming into the stretch before the end of the regular season, before the playoffs, if you will, start. So I think you're going to see, hopefully, I think last week we saw the Iranians, a lot of people were commenting how they stepped it up with some new tactics and strategies, and be curious to see if either of these two teams bring anything new or interesting to the table today, in an effort to kind of get things ready for the end of the year.
Yeah, I think today, from what I've seen in the past, I've seen huge improvements coming from both teams. I think today is going to be a really good matchup. I think I say that every fucking week, but this week in particular, I think the teams are really evenly matched, and I don't know what's going to happen. The 51st, we actually sparred against ITGC yesterday, and I haven't flown against the 36th recently, so I can't say what way this is going to go, but it seems like ITGC was ready for the matchup today. But I can hear the team spooling, so we'll go ahead and jump into the main view here. And I know this is a little something new that you guys haven't seen. We're going to keep our webcams on while everybody's taxiing, or while everybody's getting ready, because I think it adds a little bit to the stream. But I can hear the guys spooling up. We gave the spool command. They should be taxiing here shortly, and we'll see how this plays out. Joel, do you have any expectations for what you'd like to see? Not necessarily what we will see, but what you'd like to see out of today?
Based upon what I've seen so far in my experience watching SATAL, when you get down into those last few moments where there's no missiles left on either of the two planes, the fuel status is an issue, and you're conserving those last few hundred rounds of ammo, trying to find that last key position to get the shot. That's what I like to see when it comes down to almost the 1v1, or you have two separate 1v1s going on. That to me is really where the action shines here. So I'm always hoping to see those knife fights.
I think we all are always wanting to see those knife fights get in here, and that's where all the action is. That's where I lose my shit and get really excited when we get into these merges, when the M61s and stuff start going off. That's when the excitement really builds. But let's talk about what everybody's flying. We've got ITGC, number 15 Battle Axes. They changed their name. I'm not really sure what's going on there. We've got Vertical Charlie coming in after the matchup for a quick interview. He can maybe enlighten us on what's going on with the name change. For recap on the match through TacView. But number 15, they're all in J11s. We've got 4 J11s from 36 and 2 F-15s. So last week we saw primarily F-15s, and this week we're seeing primarily flankers.
Interesting. Yeah, I believe we only had 1 J11 last week, and then it was all F-15. So this should be an interesting matchup here with the different weapons coming to the table.
And are we able to see what everybody's rocking? We can probably see what these guys have as they come by.
I'm looking at a decent mix on Drona. It's like a balanced.
Who are we watching? We're watching the Battle Axes
there
down here. So first guy to taxi past had at least 2 R-77s. I think he had ERs in the center. That's all ERs coming on the second plane. 4 77s and 2 ERs coming on that one. Go ahead. Sorry for cutting you off.
I was gonna say it looks like there is a balance between most of the planes that I'm seeing, at least the J11s that I was just looking
You know,
at.
one thing that I'm not seeing though on these J11s coming from the battle axes is very few ETs. The last plane taxiing by has one ET on it. One, which a lot of people think is really imbalanced in a lot of the servers, but in competitive play, especially here in SATAL, we've seen a limited effect. Yeah, we've seen some ET kills, but I don't think it's as feared of a weapon as what we see in public play. I really think I only saw one ET coming from the battle axes over here.
Interesting. We'll see how that affects the outcome here.
Well, we've got clear conditions.
Be a smart decision or not?
Is that one? Maybe
Yeah,
that's
certainly,
one.
certainly, clear skies should have good visibility for both squads today.
And I got to correct myself here. The two lead planes for the battle axes have at least one ET apiece. Let me check the other side here, see if they're taking dual.
It looks like
No, one has two ETs. One's only carrying one. So a
Okay,
lot of
yeah,
the
I'm
guys
looking
that are carrying them seem to be only carrying one of them.
Well, they all seem to have the that ace up their sleeve, so see how that ends up affecting the outcome with those one-on-one engagements.
Yeah, with clear skies, we'll have to see, because with those smoked motors, they are easy to pick out. So do we have 36 is taxiing out. While they're taxiing, see if we can catch them in the taxi. Maybe we can check and see what everybody over here is rocking. So we've got the two F-15s leading the way, or the 36. Let's go give a weapons inspection, as Tricker would call it. Tricker was excited to see Mustache Man and Backwards Hat Boy doing the casting today. So we've got multiple ETs on what looks to be those two flankers, and they were splitting the ERs and the 77s two apiece. But I think 36th is sticking with two ETs for all of their flankers, and they do look to be splitting the ERs and the 77s here. Yeah, they are taking two ETs. Two ETs apiece for 36 Stormo, while the battle axes are taking a limited ET deployment here.
I'm looking at Merlin carrying interesting loadout on that F-15.
Tricker says if he was going to do this, he'd rock the A-10. Man, if you can get into the merge, the A-10 is a deadly dogfighter. If you can get it into the merge.
The slow speed capabilities.
If you even tickle somebody with that GA 8, they're just going to fall apart.
Absolutely, that thing's packing quite a punch.
I mean, it is an effective way to slow down in the dogfight. I've used it one or two times to be able to bleed speed. But we're just waiting for these guys to give us the ready. Looks like they are. Let's get the check. Just asking if both teams are ready to take off, and we'll get this show on the road. So what I'd like to see out of today's matchup, this is from a viewer standpoint, I'd like to see us getting into the merges, getting into the dogfights, and not see as many, in this case, since we're mainly taking semi-active kills here. I'd like to see more 73 kills and aim 9 kills. So I've got the ready from Vertical Charlie.
Alrighty.
Just waiting on the 36 Stormo, and we'll get the show on the road. Chat, what do you guys expect from today? What does everybody think's gonna go down? What are the expectations?
More
Steve
BFM,
0009 says more BFM. I'm all with you, man. I'm really debating on maybe next season moving to a semi-active weapons restriction for this, for the sole purpose of making the engagements more exciting, because I think semi-active not only makes it more exciting, but I think we get and I might be wrong in this is just my opinion, but I think we get a better representation of pilot skill, because you got to guide that missile in the whole way. You got to get closer because the R-27s and the AIM-7s suck complete ass. But I'm kind of leaning that way. What do you guys think? What do you want to see if you stick around for next season? What do you want to see out of SATAL? How do you want to see this done? What are we doing right? What can we do better? What changes can we make? And today, I'd also like to see some lower level flying. In the mountains, low hills.
I think the low level stuff is certainly entertaining to watch. Anytime you gotta mix it up that low, it adds another element to the whole thing, and it definitely steps it up a notch in my opinion.
Tricker says I'm wearing the Google glasses because of my glasses. Man, just embrace my optics. You gotta deal with it.
He needs more monitors, man. Cannot have enough monitors.
I downgraded on the monitors over the past couple months. I went from like 7, and my wife looking at me like I had several screws loose, down to 3, and her thinking that I've at least only got 1 screw loose.
I mean, can you really have too much desktop space? I don't know. I don't think there's such thing.
I'm out of actual desktop space. Like, my desk is covered. I don't have any more.
Right there with you on that. Too many monitors.
All right, both teams are ready to go, so we'll go the fight's on. Go, go, go.
Alrighty.
Schnare, host him with the 9. Thanks, buddy. And if I just butchered your name, I feel like I always have problems with your name. Correct me, please. And we'll go back. Zarma, thanks for the follow. Mysterious Hansa, thanks for the follow, guys. Much appreciated. Oh, sorry. Zarma with the 1 host. Much appreciated. Looks like these guys are taking off after the go, go, go. And we should have the action here coming soon.
So flights are coming out of Napa with the red, and blue coming out of Sochi.
Yes, so we've got the F-15s are coming out of Napa. All J-11s departing from Sochi.
All J-11s coming out of Sochi. Excellent. Each side traveling roughly 72 nautical miles to bullseye.
I like the takeoff. We haven't talked about takeoffs and formations a lot recently, but battle axes looked really good coming off on the departure. They were departing in 2-ship pairs, which sets them up nicely depending on how they ingress into the AO. But they have nice separation between the elements. They're flying with their wingmen coming in. Have to see their rejoins as they come into this fight.
Interesting. Yeah, it looks like...
Man, they really got to fix these J-11 sounds. They sound like butt.
Like 36 is running in multiple pairs. 3 separate pairs.
How far is the separation still? What have we got here? Separation. This is a big, big map. We're 132 nautical miles separated, so we've got a substantial amount of time before this first incursion happens.
And I think we all know that's going to play a big part into the fuel, consumption here. How well does each one of these guys conserve fuel throughout this fight? Are we going to see some guys, putting it in the drink or putting it on the deck before we get back just because of the distance here? How big of a factor is that going to be?
We'll have to see how long the fight plays out, but realistically, I think you want to dump some fuel as you come into this fight. If it were me flying into this engagement, what I'd like to be is I'd like to be entering the fight at under 7 tons in a 27. because I want to be as light as possible, make myself more maneuverable as I come in. It increases the odds that I'm going to be able to get by that first incursion if we do wait. Say you wait till 20 kilometers to be able to make a break for something. But then if you do come into the engagement with less fuel, it's more about fuel management during the actual fight and making sure that you manage your fuel. You don't just stay in gate the entire time and run out of fuel before the match ends, which we've seen several teams do coming up to week 24. What are you guys talking about? Sex DCS nose up, you mean? What is this sex talk going on in chat? I must have missed something. Man, those J11s sound like butt. I think they're still using the Su-25 sounds. U-boats, Deca, if you're listening, fix it. Come on. So we see, what do we have coming from both teams? Both teams are entering or coming towards the AO in 3-2 ships. Looks like we're seeing a little bit of separation coming from the number 15 side. Still see straight ingress coming from the 36th.
Yeah, it looks like one pair is breaking off.
Maybe slightly coming from the Stormo side, or Stromo.
I think, as I say, it looks like it's starting to now.
But we've got Stiglitz and Krieg really breaking off from the main element over here on the number 15 side. Everybody's pretty high, passing 20,000. This is all going to be in Imperial today, folks. No metric. What is going to happen here? Well,
yeah, this is interesting.
Looks like Krieg and Stiglitz have come back in, so they've just gotten a little bit of separation to the north. Not too much, but now we see Drona and Moody Rider breaking off feet wet towards the west, while the other two ships from the number 15 side stay feet dry over the small foothills north of Sochi. While if we look up here at the 36th, they are definitely taking a feet dry approach and staying with the foothills as they head southeast towards Bullseye. They don't look to be nearly as high. They're just passing 18,000 as they come in here. How's this going to work for them? How high is their whole group? 21,000, 20,000. How high is number 15 down here? 28,000, so they're coming up on 30, 25, and 19. So we have a lot of altitude separation for their three flights over 10,000 feet down here for number 15. But all of the 36 guys are still at around 20,000 to 22,000 feet.
Yeah, that is interesting. I'm noticing that now they're all roughly 20,000.
So Steve asks, so the flights don't have the F10 map, right? Yeah, they cannot see themselves on the F10 map. They have the map, but you can't see themselves. So the Su-27 and the J11s obviously have data link, but no one has access to the F10 map. You have no representation of yourself on here or any of your fellow pilots. There is a guy for both sides running on lot ATC, so there is a GCI providing AWACS for their own pilots, but there's no F10. Trying to make this as hardcore realistic as possible as we come in here. So it looks like number 15 guys passing 30,000 over Mach 1 as they finish up ingressing into this incursion. Separation between the two flights is now down to 40 miles.
It looks like the 36 guys are starting to get altitude up. Looks like the rear flight is just passing through 28,000 right now.
Yeah, they are. The leads are at 34, mids at 31, and the rears are at 29. So they are gaining altitude. I do like to see that. I didn't want them to come into this fight too low. Zarma says, I hope they don't have the F5U. No, they don't have. There's no external cameras. So we are getting closer, down to under 40, coming up on 30 miles.
Looks like the 36 guys just changed heading. At least the 2 lead flights, and now it looks like the back pair is starting to follow suit.
They are. They've just hit markings. So are they going to stay in markings as they press this? Markings make it really easy for the other side to see him. You can see a friendly mark back there at, who is this? Dronas. 5 o'clock there. That looks to be the second 2-ship. Let's get this party started. Change of music, bumps and beats.
I think we're about to see the party get started right now. Matter of fact, that those 2 lead flights seemed destined for a merge, or at least a shot out.
We're still pretty separated. Here comes our first ET being launched by Moody Rider. And that is on the Trail 2-ship of Falcon and Drigo. Moody Rider immediately drops some flares and split S's. That was a shit ton of flares. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite him later in the match.
Quite early, too.
We got an ER coming from Falcon. That could be just to put him cold. We've got the second 2-ship of Stiglitz and Krieg coming in here from the east. This is good to see, the support. We've got effectively a racetrack with these 2 ships coming in. Guys extending, guys hot.
Yeah, it looks like we have 1 pair hot on those 4 coming out of there, and then another 2 from 36 coming in from the north. Although it looks like 1 just turned on that lead flight from number 15. They both did.
I'm going to assume that's an ER coming off the rails. No, a 77 coming from Gonalama. Or Gonalma.
Back those 2 right up.
I don't know what that's going to... 17 miles for an R-77. I don't know that that was intentional, but that's going to be a dead missile. I mean, that's...
Well, I mean, I'm going to have to say it had the intended effect, because it turned that pair right around as it was chasing those 4 back, and it looks like 36 is getting a good chance to regroup and turn now. You have 2 pairs coming back from number 15 pushing now, and it looks like we're going to get a decent reset on both these squadrons coming back at each other. Yep. Back pairs now circling back, and then a shot out.
Yeah, we see the ER coming from Vertical Charlie. Again, that's a long, long way. I understand that you want these guys to turn around, but you're foxing from 35, 40 kilometers at that point, 17 nautical miles, somewhere in there. Maybe they're just trying to get them to turn around, but if you just kind of serpentine, that missile's going to be completely ineffective.
We're seeing a lot of just shooting and turning from both sides and circling back around right now.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but we've got a lot of missiles coming from the 36 side, and I don't want them to be out of merchandise by the time they get into these merges.
I think we're going to see, just based upon if this continues at this rate, I think we're going to see a decent amount of gunfighting between a lot of planes, and that could get real interesting real quick here.
Would be nice. I would like to see that.
I'm curious how all of this looping back is doing on the fuel.
I think they're okay so far. They're probably down to 6 tons, I'd imagine. I think they're probably okay. They may be 5.5 tons, but there's a lot of... It's a standoff going on here. I've seen a lot more missiles come out of 36 than what we've seen come out of the number 15 side, and I hope it doesn't come back to bite them. Another ER coming from Viking on the 2-ship of Vertical Charlie and Cougar. See if they're going to defend. Immediately, Vertical Charlie goes into his split S. Cougar starts to defend. Cougar just puts it in an initial notch, thinks better of it, starts to extend because he's got Krieg, Stiglitz, Moody Rider, and Drona coming to help him. So I do like what we're seeing out of both teams. While the lead flights are extending, you've got the guys that were already extending turning hot. Really conservative, but it's a good team tactic, covering the other guys' escape as they move out after they've launched their missiles. So we've got an ET coming from Drigo on the 36 side. Is he pressing? He's continuing to press. Now he's split S-ing and going cold. So another thing that I like coming on here is that as these teams are egressing, they're split S-ing, so they're obviously losing altitude. But they're then climbing back to altitude after they've extended away from the fight, which I do like to see. A lot of people will just stay low instead of climbing back to altitude. I mean, you got to get that altitude back because you're able to exchange that altitude for energy if shit hits the fan.
Absolutely, and I think just on the added bonus to your shots out, you know, in the speed alone, I think is worth it for that.
Falcon's okay. We saw they're getting a little bit closer, as you guys in chat said. Moody Rider keeping the press. He's inside 10 nautical miles now. Does he have a good shot on Drogo?
Two
No.
shots out here from number 15.
He's got an ER, but I think he could have pressed that a little bit closer to see if he could have gotten a higher PK shot coming into that engagement. Vertical Charlie was pressing. Merlin countering with a 9 nautical mile 120B, but that's going to be ineffective as Vertical Charlie immediately turns cold.
As I just flipped through a lot of the in-cams here, I'm still seeing a lot of weapons on planes here. So these guys, you know, we've still seen a lot of shots out, but we're still at a decent amount on each side as far as weapons remaining. So this fight's still got a lot in it.
You know, one thing I do like that I'm seeing is planes dropping flares periodically, seemingly for no reason. That's because they're going against ETs. Got to make sure that they're not going to eat an ET that they didn't see. I would like to see them come out of gate when they're dropping flares because they've got a big blowtorch coming out of their back of the plane, and I don't know that the missile's going to care too much about the flares when they're still in gate. But it is nice to see that guys are dropping flares periodically just to make sure that an IR missile, whether it be a sneaky AIM-9 or an ET, doesn't take them by surprise. So 120B coming from Merlin on Vertical Charlie. Vertical Charlie puts an ER back into the opposition's face, but that's unsupported now as he immediately turns cold as he gets the pit bull from that 120B.
He's got another one hot on him, I think.
Still 6 aside. Nobody's died yet. Drone and Ganalma getting close here. This could be the first merge of the match. Getting 5 nautical miles. Here comes an ET. Is Ganalma gonna see it? There's the flares. Does he come out of gate? So he knows it's an ET. ET lost it. He's okay. R77 comes from Drigo.
Yep.
But again, on a cold bandit, it's not going to have the energy to get there. ET coming on Falcon for Vertical Charlie. Does Vertical Charlie know it's coming? No flares. This could be the first casualty of the game. That ET. We don't see its gate. We don't see it. And he takes it to the face. Vertical Charlie, first casualty of this week 24. ET. Man, AIM-9 coming from Merlin. Does Krieg see it? I saw a flare. Is it going to have the energy? I don't know. I think he's safe.
Yeah, it looks like they're both going to make it out of that one. All right, so number 15 down to 4 guys. 36 coming in.
They got 5.
Or 5 guys.
We got Drigo coming from the north on Stiglitz. That's a good position to put an R77 in. Is it notched? Yeah, that R77 got notched immediately. ET coming from Cougar to protect Stiglitz egress, but that ET is going to be out of energy, and I think Drigo flared. Yeah, he did. Coming out of that, so that ET's done. Another AIM-9 coming on Drona down here to the south, but it doesn't have the energy to stay with him. R77 coming on Viking on Drona. But I think Drona is already egressing out. He is indeed. That ET could spell trouble for Cougar.
Yeah,
Cougar's in trouble.
He's got 2 shots on him.
See a Fox coming from him. I'm assuming that's an ER, but that ET is going to be trouble for him. Yep. He takes it. So 36 looking solid here in round 1. Dispatching 2 of the number 15 guys. Here comes an AIM-9 on Krieg. I don't think he sees that smokeless motor, and he doesn't. Takes it to the front, and I think he's down for the count. So we're down to 3 for the number 15 guys. 6 still remaining for 36. Man, IR missiles. All 3 kills. 2 ETs, 1 AIM-9. Playing a role in this round 1.
Still a lot of weapons left on 36, yep.
Drigo putting an ER on Stiglitz. Is he gonna? He puts it he starts defending, that ER is going to be dead. He's got it in a notch.
Merlin down to sidewinders only.
ET coming from Drona on Falcon. Falcon could be in trouble. There's the flares. That ET should be dead. Is it? Yeah, it's dead. But that R77, if it stays on him, could spell trouble, and it does. He takes it. So number 15, Battle Axes do dispatch. Finally, one of the 36 guys. I thought he had that R77 in a notch. Evidently not. As it sneaks up on him. Drigo and Moody Rider now coming head-to-head. 73's coming on Moody Rider. Drigo, that could be all he's got left.
That's tough.
But those 73s could spell trouble, and they do for Moody Rider.
Did Stiglitz hold on too long coming in there trying to get that shot?
I don't know. The ET's dead, but an ET coming on the front side of one of the 36 guys, and he gets dispatched. So Stiglitz being the lone guy, the lone wolf remaining for the number 15 guys. Merlin all over his ass, and I guess we missed one of the 36 guys getting taken down. Maybe he crashed. But Stiglitz is in a world of trouble running for Merlin. He's got a 2-mile head start, but what does Merlin have remaining? Just AIM 9s.
Not much.
So Stiglitz is in a survivable position right now. But is he going to be able to stay alive?
That's
Well, maybe not. That AIM 9's got some energy. There it is.
Oh, wow.
Oh, did he outrun it? He did.
Yeah, wow.
God, that was
Impressive.
close. That was like within
Impressive.
15 feet of where him getting hit. I thought, God, with the amount of energy that thing had coming.
Well, he's got a 3-pack coming in behind him after that, so this is
Are,
unfortunately not looking good for him.
what is the 3 ship from 36, the guys that are off to the west? Are they climbing?
Climbing through 5, barely, not, yeah, slowly.
Or they
slowly
level
climbing
altitude?
through 5,000. No, they're increasing, but not fast.
Okay.
It's a slow
That's-
climb, although the lead plane just broke north.
They're probably sending him home to make sure that they have enough fuel. I like to see that. So Stiglitz is in a world of trouble here. He's got some weapons remaining. I didn't see an AIM 9 come off the rails. He's turning. He may be trying to get the fight back in here. And he's in trouble now. He's inside the pyramid of doom. Missiles coming from
Where these
multiple
guys-
directions.
Need to be careful on the crossfire here. They got missiles inbound. Friendly.
He's in trouble. I don't know that he's got some flares left, but I don't know how many he's got left.
Just pulled a quick turn on those. Yeah,
There's the contrails, and he's dead. Yep. I think he chose the wrong time to recommit. He recommitted right inside the triangle of death coming from 36. I mean, he put himself, we saw it briefly, but right in the middle of that engagement. And that's game over, man. Game over.
Yeah, that's hard to recover from. No matter
As
who you are at that
Kami
point.
says in chat, the triple face fuck coming from 36 down on
Indeed.
Stiglitz.
Indeed, we need to note that move for the books for next time.
Yeah, so
To
Kami,
reference
I'm going to
that.
use that when we fly in our next match with 51st. I'm just going to say, guys, it's time for the triple face fuck. Let's bring the pain. So I think they did say Italicus home to make sure that they had enough fuel and make sure that they weren't going to put themselves in any type of situation where they were all going to run out of fuel on RTB, depending on how far it was going to come home. Italicus just now dumping his tanks. Interesting. Should have probably got rid of the webcams at some point during that, but I got excited and didn't push the off button. My bad. So how far do they have to go home? They've got 72 nautical miles. Well, did you guys like the webcams or? Probably not. I probably should have put the action in there. My bad. Keep them. Interesting. Are we going to see any type of rejoins? Doesn't look like it.
No, I think these guys are probably doing their best at each one of them right now to conserve. Just considering.
Cosmic says the webcams are the action. Man, maybe. I try and be animated. Sometimes I'm animated sitting in my chair in past matches, and then I realize that you guys can't see me. But whatever, it's more exciting.
Goes to say maybe make them a little smaller. May not hurt.
Maybe. Zarma, I might do 1080p. We'll have to see. It's just 720p right now. Lacey Seal says for us to do webcams, we must include cosplay. It means I got to get a flight suit.
Well, are we playing pilots or are we playing announcers right now? Should I just wear a suit and tie? With that, is that it?
Well, we could just wear a suit and tie or a jacket with no pants.
Yeah, exactly. No pants. There you go.
We could go full newscaster here.
Exactly. Sounds like my kind of party. His classes are always analyzing. There you go, Tricky.
So what do we think happened there? What do you think? What was your opinion on that whole showdown as we watch these guys egress already in RTB here?
I think we saw a lot of the, initial kind of exchanges that we see in a lot of, a lot of these multiplayer servers. I think a lot of us are familiar with, where guys are coming in, they're kind of getting a feel, firing off a shot, bumping guys back, kind of trying to work the squad into a position to get a shot for the other squad to get a better shot off. And I think we saw a lot of that play out until that first final exchange, and then things kind of started to open up from there quickly. I think in a short period of time for 36, they were able to get the scoring going rather quickly there.
So what I think happened, and what do I know? But a lot of this, it started really defensive. Both teams didn't want to get into the fight. They didn't, which I liked. They stayed organized on the egress. But then what it seemed like happened is one of the number 15 guys got in deep, and then it was like, okay, boys, have at him. And then everybody just went in. And they got in deep, but they got themselves in trouble where they weren't flaring while they were in deep. They did really well while they were egressing out of the initial beginning of those fights while they were playing defensive. But when they got aggressive, maybe they were out of flares by that point, all of the preemptive flaring seemingly stopped. And I don't know why, but we saw several IR kills from ETs and 73s. And ETs and 73s both have smoked motors, so they're not all that hard to spot. But yeah, I think if there was some more preemptive flaring, the Battle Axes could have been in a better position as that round progressed, because they would have had higher numbers. So it doesn't look like they're going to be required to RTB. So I'm going to flip us back to the desk scene here, and I'm going to get the TAC view ready while I get the server restarted.
Awesome. Yeah, that was certainly an interesting one.
But what do you think, while I'm getting this ready, what do you think was done well by the 36 side? Because they played that really well. That was very well done.
I think they did a good job of always having at least two guys in a position to cover three guys being out there towards the edge of that front line, if you will. Like every time I looked up, I felt like I saw, and I do think number 15 did a pretty decent job of this for at least the first portion of that engagement. But I think it really came down to making sure somebody was always there to come up and fire that shot to back somebody up. And we saw a lot of that today, and I think 36 did quite a good job of that.
Well, and they capitalized on we saw a couple sneaky aim 9 kills, so they were able to capitalize on an unsuspecting number 15 side and get those IR kills.
Yeah, I think we saw a lot of that today, where just unsuspecting kills sneaking up on guys because of the IR aspect of things, and that I think as we all know, requires a little bit more precision to get within the distance you need to be able to pull that off. So definitely an interesting way of going about it.
Need to adjust. Your webcam here, Smidgen. Okay, so we're in TAC view. Let's have a look-see and see what exactly happened while the guys get situated for the server again. Let's get in here. So everybody's really defensive. We don't see a lot of stuff going on. Missiles being exchanged for the first several minutes. And nobody's really getting all that close. Where's our first incursion here? Dut23 with the host, bringing 4 to the party. Welcome, welcome. So still really conservative. There's our first kill right there. So this is the first ET kill. It's against Vertical Charlie. It's fired from a long way away. Who puts this out on him? Falcon puts it on him. And really, this is just something that you got to be prepared for. You got to flare. And as this comes in, we don't see... Where'd he go? Did I get too far ahead? No. We don't see Vertical Charlie really flare at all. As he comes in. The second one, who's the second kill on? It's right here on Cougar. Pretty sure it's on Cougar. And I think it was that ET kill. And yeah, guys, again, he may have flared, but it's... And we can see him die right here as we play back through this. But when you flare, you gotta get out of Afterburner. Otherwise, it's not going to work out. And he gets the ER off, but it's not going to do anything at that point. We see Krieg down here. Again, this was a sneaky aim 9 shot that gets Krieg. And he just doesn't see it. No flares that come. You got to assume that there's going to be something when you're getting in that close. And you got to make sure that you're periodically cutting your throttle and dumping those flares as you ingress and get closer into the fight. So right here, Falcon gets taken down by Drona. And I think he just gets in too close. He doesn't really have a lot of support on Drona. So he turns away, but Drona can stay on. Drigo comes in a little bit late to help. He flares, so he gets away from the ET, that initial ET, which isn't a problem. But the 77, and I'm surprised this 77 didn't get notched. Maybe he just wasn't slow enough. But the 77 didn't get notched for whatever reason. That surprises me. I don't know why it didn't get notched at that point. But who goes down next? So the next one is Moody Rider. And again, it's just IR missiles that he doesn't see coming. They were launched outside of, I guess, his visual range, or he wasn't looking. No flares, and he just takes 273s to the face. So then Drona comes in. He's got an ET coming from Merlin. Again, another IR missile. Takes down Drona. No flares. He just doesn't see it. I think people are getting tunnel vision, and they get excited, and they forget that they've got to press that flare button to make sure that a missile they didn't see doesn't get him. And then we can talk about the, as Comey would say, the triple face fuck as it comes in right here from Stiglitz as he tries to recommit back in on Merlin. He just doesn't know, or Drigo and Virgo or Viking are over there. And then he just dies. He can't do anything in this position. Even if he takes one of the guys down, he's effectively just dead.
Yeah,
so,
and you can't run all day there. You know, absolutely.
Not at all. So let's jump back in. I'm sure the teams have rejoined. Load up the server. Looks like everybody's already joined. And I'm going to try and remember to turn off the webcams this time. but we'll have a look-see. So Anapa, everybody's ready. Turn those off. Get this satellite view. And these guys should be ready to rock. We watched the number 15 guys taxi last time, so we'll watch 36th go this time. Sounds like they're spooling up. And we'll get this party started again for round 2. 36 takes it. I did not expect that in commanding fashion. I thought it would be a closer match between those two guys, between these two teams, but that was, yeah.
I was not expecting that to go that quickly either, especially the way it kind of started out. You know, I kind of assumed that pace was going to continue until they shot themselves out, and it certainly seemed like number 15 decided to be the first to kind of, you know, push the battle there, and I think 36 was ready for it.
Thanks, sure, Michael. Knocker says, oh God, the score thing again. Well, I got it fixed. We should be good now.
Accurate scorekeeping is important.
So we'll have a look and see what these guys are taxiing with. I think last time we saw that all of them from 36 were taking more IR missiles. They were taking the ETs, and it makes sense, given how many IR kills there were in the first round, to take these things. They seem to be effective.
Indeed. Indeed.
I wonder if the asymmetrical loadout that we got going on right there with an ER under one of the intakes and a 77 on the other is going to play any significant role in drag.
And we're seeing 3 bags out of 36 on their F-15s.
Watch these guys taxi for a moment. So I think what's going to happen, what I'd like to see happen in this round is 36. I like the defensiveness that both teams exhibited during the first round. But I'd like to see maybe a more alert posture coming from the number 15 guys, making sure you're dropping a couple flares as you come into the fight. Keep your face out of the gauges and stuff to make sure that you're looking for missile launches. And I say that, but it's really difficult to do, especially when you're in the thick of it. And you always forget.
I feel like no matter how hard you try to look for those IRs sometimes too, they can still sneak up on you, and it's just difficult tracking those things in general, but it certainly does help keeping the head out of those gauges, because you can certainly get lost in there, and that seems to be you know, a good time for that to happen when you're not looking for it.
Three bags from the 36th Eagles. Huh. Interesting. Looks like 4 AIM-120s and 4 AIM-9s, so a significant amount of infrared missiles coming from all pilots on the 36 side, not just the flankers.
Yes, indeed. That is certainly seems to be the case here, and they employed that strategy quite well in the last round. So look to see more of that from them here. And said we'll see how the number 15 guys deal with that in response.
Zarma says, wonder if we're going to see some Hornets once we get better IFF and or TWS. You most certainly will. I think the waiting game is for TWS. It's really hard to compete with TWS on the Eagle when you don't have it on the Hornet.
Yep, that does make sense. But we'll certainly see the Hornet starting to get towards that stage, I think. I think just this week's developments alone are taking us a step closer to that.
Nubs Cockpit asks, why 3 bags? Nubs Cockpit, your question is as good as mine, my friend. I'm not entirely sure either, but a lot of squadrons take 3 bags in SATAL.
3 bags, 3 face spots.
See if the number 15's ready. Tricker says, this must be the aerobatic server. Must be. Comey says, just wait for the F-18 to get the air-to-ground radar. You know, in an air-to-air situation, it's not as fast. We'll have to see. I'm not undervaluing it. We'll have to see how it shakes out once it gets TWS, how effective it is. So there's the fights on for round 2 of this week 24. Is the number 15 side going to be able to equalize this at 1 apiece? Are we going to see round 3? I know we all would like to see round 3. But what's going to happen? So TJ asks, what's the worry about 3 bags? The worry about 3 bags is it's not really fuel efficient because the 3rd bag adds an increased amount of drag. So it can actually be detrimental to the performance of the aircraft in your fuel state. Unless you're on a long ferry flight doing air-to-air refuelings. It's more detrimental, I think, the faster you go. You get to a point where you can't really go any faster because of the increased drag. At least that's my assumption, or as far as I understand it.
All right. Be interesting to see what the formation is going into this one. I believe the last round we had, each squadron ran about 2 flights, and they sent one up the coast, I believe, feet wet. Number 15 did, as where 36 seemed to stay inland, kind of hook around. So we'll see what goes on differently there. Last week, I think that was one of the bigger, aspects of that match was the formation choice going into the merge within all 3 of the rounds, actually. So we'll see. That didn't seem to be a big factor in round 1 here. We'll see how that is in round 2.
Still about 130 miles separated. Looks like the number 15 side's doing something different. They sent a 3-ship up. They've got a 3-ship still on the runway.
Indeed. Holding them out. Although they look to be just now getting off the ground. Decent bit of separation now, though, between the 2.
They say Merlin's voice is quite low.
I'm low?
Might have to address that here in a minute.
I can't move things a little closer in the meantime and fix that. Yeah, about 12-mile separation on those two 3-man flights. Interesting. Okay, so we do have some different formation tactics here. But it seems like number 15 is staying in similar fashion to last time, although they don't seem to be breaking off the two inland. Like they're going to hold a straight line towards bullseye.
36 is maintaining that feet wet approach. I'm really interested to see what comes about by this new formation change coming from the number 15 side, but we may have a disconnection coming from Cougar. He's stationary. This could spell disaster, and he does.
And there it is.
Man, that's unfortunate. So we're down to a 5v6 already.
How that affects 36, I'm sorry, number 15 strategy, as well as 36, as you know, see how that affects what formation they continue to fly in here. Because that lead flight is now a 2-flight, correct?
Yes, so we've got a 2-ship now from the 15 guys and a 3-ship in trail of Moody Rider, Drona, and Stiglitz. That's really unfortunate about the disconnect.
If you're leading 36 right now, do you send that lead 2-flight after their lead and then break off the other 4 after that back 3 so you have the numbers advantage there?
I think you overwhelm the initial 2-ship. You just send everybody after the 2-ship.
And then have the back guys ready to take on those 3 as they pull in. Yep.
I think everybody's close enough together that it's not, you're not really going to get a advantage. You want to overwhelm, in my opinion, with numbers, and if you can stay together, it provides better mutual support. Your situational awareness increases. I'd like to see them all stick together.
Interesting. It looks like that's what you're going to see too. I think at least right now, especially if that back 3 flight hangs as high as they are, I don't think you're going to see them try to break anyone off.
We'll see if Cougar's going to get able to come back in. They didn't enter the bubble. So we'll have to see if he's going to be able to rejoin in time.
And could you briefly explain what the rule regarding disconnects are?
So the rule, as we've done in the past with disconnects, is as long as you don't enter the bubble, you're usually able to reconnect. The question is he going to be able to connect in a timely fashion and be able to get in the air fast enough to be
a factor
here?
Yeah.
Sneak cheers one and says rip cheer or rip. Yeah, man. That was unfortunate. We'll see if he's able to get back up and play any significant role in.
It looks like he's on the deck. I would assume starting up right now. You know, that could be an interesting factor in this whole thing if he can get that thing up in time.
Well, I just like him to be even instead of them already being a pilot down going into this fight. Separation now between the 2 flights is down to 60 miles. We're getting closer. God, I just cringe every time I hear the J11. I think it's a Su-25 because that's the sounds it's using. Why not have a carrier halfway position for anyone whoever disconnects? Solidus, it's because we really don't want to cater to people disconnecting. So, yeah, I think if you have a disconnect, you should be at some type of disadvantage.
This lead flight
that's how I see it.
Number 15 has split and has a decent amount of spacing in between them.
This is kind of what we saw last week, where the lead flight coming in split apart.
It's about 6-7 miles separation right now. That's certainly more than combat spread. Interesting turn of events.
Tricky Trickers says epic music. go with the 100 bits, man. Thanks, buddy. I will change it here in just a second.
It looks like 36 is keeping that 2 flight over the coast and sending 2 separate 2 flights. Or I'm sorry, keeping a 2 flight over the coast and then sending 2 separate 2 flights up towards the mountains. And now it looks like the backpack of 3 for 36 is starting to take separate headings on all 3 counts.
So separation's down to 28 nautical miles. We're getting closer.
Cougar is just getting off the runway there. So he's hopefully going to be a factor here. See how long this engagement lasts. I get the feeling we're going to see something totally different than what we saw in the first round, just based upon the way these formations are shaping up.
I think we're seeing a much more spread out formation coming from the number 15 guys. The rear 3 ship is now separating into a wall. So we've got the initial 2 ship spread coming in front with the 3 ship in the back. And here comes our first missile launch coming from Drigo.
Yeah, it looks like that back wall is there to support those 2 gunners up front. As those guys are coming through, taking their shots. They're probably going to rotate in and out there. Something along the lines of that.
So missiles being exchanged to the north and south. Falcon and Drigo both putting missiles out. Krieg puts an ET out there against Italicus or Merlin and Italicus. Well, one of them puts a 120B back at Krieg to get him to extend.
Decent bit of separation on the 36 right now. We'll see how number 15 can take advantage of that.
But it looks like we're seeing a much more aggressive approach coming from the 36 guys. They're getting closer. Well, I say that, and then they extend.
I think knowing they got Cougar pulling up might be giving them a little bit more power to push up here. Did we?
Drigo's... Yeah, the fights are much closer than they were in round 1. We're already getting within 10 nautical miles. I like that the number 15 side is staying closer together. We've got a much greater separation on the 36 side north to south. We could be seeing a merge here. Falcon getting low. Nope, he's split S-ing and getting the hell out of there. Says, nope, no thanks. I'm getting out of here. But that ER... could have enough energy by the time it reaches him. And he's not going to be able to notch it. I don't see any chaff. It flew right by him. Man.
He didn't have a whole lot of room to work there, although he's getting altitude now.
That missile spelled trouble, and it didn't track him all the way through. I don't know why. Maybe it wasn't able to pull enough G to stick with him, but he lucked out in that situation, not eating that ER.
All right. And it looks like Cougar is roughly 44 nautical miles from the fight. So we'll see. That's certainly if 36 can pull something off here, that certainly is going to end up being a factor in this.
So Drigo's already extending up here to the north. Moody Rider's keeping the press on. Is he going to be able to make anything happen? He's going head-to-head against Falcon. Can't pick up who he's shooting at. There goes an R-77 on Moody Rider. He's in trouble. I see him dropping both chaff and flare, but doesn't get into the notch. Just maintains his head-on aspect and eats that 77 to the dome. So 36 already taking the lead, dispatching one of the number 15 guys.
Well, now Cougar coming back into it certainly is going to play a big part.
But is Drigo going to be in trouble? He's got an ET coming at him. There go the flares. Oh! Yeah. Too late. Too little. Too late. Stayed in gate. ET said, no way. I like your blowtorches. Thank you very much. And smacks him right in the underbelly.
It looked like he let a desperation shot out that actually tracked pretty decently. Drona is having outrun that pretty well right now.
It did, but it ran out of energy.
Yep.
So we've equalized here. We're 5 apiece as Cougar gets closer. But
Cougar
Krieg
currently
getting in here deep, and Stiglitz putting the press on down here to the south. I thought we were going to see Italicus get taken down by that ER, but I guess it stopped tracking. So Krieg is getting pressed by Falcon, but we may see a 3v1 against Stiglitz down here to the south. He's getting himself into trouble. He's still pressing on Falcon. Well, now he's decided to turn cold. But that 77 is going to spell trouble. Is he getting into a notch? Does it have the energy? I saw its contrail coming back there. I don't think it has the energy to catch him. I think he turned
another shot out.
right
27.
in the nick of time.
From
ET
Drona.
coming from Drone on to Merlin.
I don't know if he
Nothing
sees it.
coming from Merlin. Don't see anything. Oh, we see that coming from the bottom of the screen. ET to the face. And Merlin gets taken down.
He saw it just too late, I think.
But somebody else got taken down because we're...
No, I think
I
someone's
missed-
way north. We got Viking way...
I think I missed one of the
It's
number 15
3-3.
guys. But the 120B on Drona, that could have enough energy. That might be trouble. We can see him dumping chaff. Is he going to line of sight it? I think he's going to line of sight it. Oh, nope. He got hit. Came right
didn't
over
have-
the hill.
As I say, he didn't have a lot of room to work with there to evade.
So we're numbers even here going into the tail end of this engagement. Cougar just arriving on scene. Is he going to be the game changer? Falcon
Certainly
putting an
coming
ET
in.
on Cougar. Who's that on? I think it's on Krieg.
Difficult to tell. It
No
looks like
flares.
Krieg.
Krieg's in trouble. Krieg's in trouble. Nope. It stopped tracking him.
Stiglitz looks like he's got... Oh, Stiglitz picks off a 36 guy.
I must have
towards the
missed that.
south here.
I must have missed that. So now number 15, the Battle Axes have the numerical advantage, 3-2. Falcon pressing his advantage on the 6 of Stiglitz. That ER might have the energy to reach
it hit him.
Stiglitz.
I think it hit a mountain or hit a hill. One of the two.
Yeah.
I lost it.
Doesn't look like it got to him.
Krieg pushing hard right now on Falcon, and if he can get Stiglitz turned around, he might have himself a sandwich here.
And so Falcon's recommitted up north, immediately finds Krieg. This could be trouble for Krieg. I don't think he sees it. No, he doesn't.
But he...
Equalizer. Right there, coming from Falcon. It's now 2v2, but Cougar entering the match. Did that track him? It did. Who got dispatched up there to the north? I don't know who got hit, but Falcon's all by himself.
I think it was it Cougar to the north that got hit?
No, Viking. So Cougar got a kill coming in there. So we're now down to a 2v1. Battle Axes with the advantage coming against the singleton that is Falcon.
And I'm watching Falcon burning hard right now.
The number 15 guys don't have as many pilots remaining as 36 did last round. He's getting really low. But it is still a 2v1 coming into the last part of this. Is Falcon going to be able to do anything? There goes the 73. Is it going to be an exchange? Oh, he gets by it with the flares.
No.
And dispatches Falcon.
Good shot.
Man, Cougar being the game changer, coming in late.
And now we got to see if the two remaining number 15 guys have enough in the tanks to make it back to a Napa. I would assume they would after
I
that.
think they will.
Will one of those guys, Cougar? Yeah, Cougar, we have to assume, has the gas to push back after that. So Cougar coming in, that disconnect ended up being the X factor here. He just, and that goes to show you, maybe it's not a bad strategy to hold the guy sometimes.
Well, I don't
I think
necessarily you want to hold people in. I don't think that's good sportsmanship if you do that intentionally, but
okay.
I don't know that him arriving late played a factor. I think it was just, maybe holding people maybe at the edge of the bubble and then coming in late because people get tunnel visioned on the initial incursion and then he's able to work his way into something. But, he just in that last merge, he just was the better pilot going in there.
Oh, absolutely. No, it looked like it from where I was sitting up here. No doubt about it. That was an interesting way. And I think, once again, we saw that the initial formation certainly played a factor into the way that the first engagements kind of took part there, and definitely different than what we saw in the first round. I'm curious to see if they stick with what worked here in the second round or push on to something new going into this third round. It certainly seems like it's going to be a deciding one.
Cougar still has a significant amount of weapons. He's still got a 77, an ER, an ET, 4 73s. And then even Stiglitz has 3 73s remaining. So even if that match would have gone a little bit longer, there was the weapons available coming from the number 15 side to be able to keep going. So real quick, let's catch up on what's going on. Rack and Sack, thanks for the follow. Sneak69 dropping the bits for the war chest. Thanks, buddy. And then we got another one coming from Buckeye. Says rip. Toast, thanks for the host. And Sneak says, with one more bit, says, seems good. Yeah, it did seem okay. It was decent. But a much better showing coming from the Battle Axe crew. We do get to see a round 3. And as Khan says, I want to see guns.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I don't think we've gotten anything that close and tight yet today.
I don't think so, not yet.
You know, you have to think with the score being tied up coming into this last one, you're going to see some, you know, all the tricks get thrown out trying to get that last win for to pull the day out.
Okay, so these guys have said no RTB, we can restart. So I'm going to go ahead and restart the server. We'll go ahead and throw it back to the desk here, and we'll talk about things. What do you think played out there well, Joel? How do you think that all went down? What are your impressions?
I think you saw those tactics out of number 15. The way that formation played out, staggering. You know, I think they handled the disconnect really well. The way they changed tactics, switched the formations up, spread the guys out to have that nice wall backing them up going into that engagement, and then rotated in and out with those guys, at least for the first portion of that. I think that played a factor into how they were able to get some of those first shots or first kills off, and then kind of slowly separate. I felt like the 36 guys got separated from the start, and we were really never able to see them group up in a way to be able to push back number 15 in that.
Right. I'd agree. Well, let's take a look real quick at the TAC view and see what actually went down here. Because I missed a couple kills. We'll see if we can catch them on the TAC view here. And we'll see how this goes down. So initially, everything's really defensive. The number 15 guys come in. They're at a numerical disadvantage. It's 5v6. I think it was the 36 guys that draw first blood again. As this goes on, who's our first kill? Moody Rider, yeah, he's our first go down. And I thought he was going to get that R77 into a notch, but I think he was just too fast. Yeah, he didn't get it into the notch fast enough, and I think he was just too fast to make it effective.
He bit in hard trying to go after, I'm not sure who it is there, that circled out Drigo, it looks like.
Yeah.
And I think that may have been his fatal mistake.
I think you're right. So let's keep going here. Who's our next guy that gets taken down? It's Drigo. Eats an ET that he just doesn't see. Oh, he does. We can see him flaring, but I think this is a case, and I think I said this during the match, that you can flare guys, but if you don't cut your burners, that ET is going to hit you in the dome, and you're not going to get away from it.
Creating as big of a heat source as that thing on full afterburner. There's no way.
Who's our next guy that gets dispatched? It's Drigo. Then who gets taken down? It goes for a while. It's Merlin. And he gets hit by another ET that he just doesn't see. So coming in here, he just gets hit by this ET that's launched, and he just doesn't. There's no flares. He has no idea that it's coming. No change of course, and just boom, right in the face. No idea that that thing's even gonna come in for him. So who's our next guy? Vertical Charlie. Where does he get taken down? I think it's up here to the north. Indeed. What does he get hit by? I think it's another ET.
This is right around where we lost. I think we had a shoot down that we.
I think it was Vertical Charlie, and he gets hit by an ET again. That he's trying to defend these R-77s, and he defends the R-77s, but he forgets that, hey, there could be an IR missile in with these semi-actives, so I better drop some flares just in case. And he takes that ET, and he's down for the count. So who's next? Right there. Drona gets taken down next by a 120B, and Drona in this particular situation just gets in too deep, and he just can't get away from it. And I thought this thing was going to hit a mountain, but it goes right over the mountain and takes down Drona, and he was just in too deep. That 120B had too much energy by the time it reached its target, and he wasn't able to get away from it even though he was cold. So next is Italicus, and he just recommits here and doesn't know that Stiglitz is bearing down on him, and it's just an R-77, and that close, that's all she wrote. There's no getting away from that. Unless you're really slow, then you can maybe get away from it. But going forward here, Krieg gets taken down by, I'm going to assume that's a 77. Does he defend it? No. Just no flares. Getting into this merge, guys. You got to flare. Got to flare. When you're that close to somebody, you've got to assume that there's something coming for you. So you got to drop those countermeasures. So up here to the north, ER Viking, I just think doesn't see it initially, and he's too close to be able to do anything. And then it's all Falcon, all she wrote, head on with Cougar, and it's just that's the end of the story right there. Cougar gets in, drops the flares, spoofs the R-77 from Falcon, and Falcon doesn't do enough to get rid of Cougars. Cougar wins the day. So that's all she wrote there. Let's jump back into the server here.
That was certainly an entertaining one there.
And watch a round 3. And guys, I will fix the score here in just a second. So that was round 2. This is round 3, so we're not there. We are 1 apiece. And evidently I don't know how to type my own password.
I forgot it for a moment. I got scared, but then I remembered it.
Do I not remember this? Can you poke me the password? Why can't I get in?
I know your pain because I just went through this exact thing.
I don't know what's going on. I'm not able to access the server. Oh, because it's the wrong server because I'm a dork. I was trying to join the number 15 server because I'm an idiot.
It's all right. A lot going on right now.
So the team's already loaded in. I can actually already hear them spooling. The boobs are spooling without me telling them to spool.
Oh, Sneak, look at that. I would buy a SATAL shirt. I think,
so Sneak, you're telling me that we should make SATAL shirts? Is that what you're saying?
Gotta have some merch.
We probably do. We probably should.
I would definitely rock one. I know that.
I think I'd rather have a hoodie personally.
Oh, well, that's not hard to do in comparison.
That is true. Maybe we'll do that.
That would avoid us having to put shirts and ties on. Just rock
but if we're gonna do it pantless, I mean, where's the fun in?
We all know Comey and the gang would like that. That would certainly feed into everything they got going on. Way
Mark,
too
who
much.
says SATAL glue-on mustache.
At-home mustaches. They can be watching with their own.
It's just so you can take people on a mustache ride, right?
Exactly.
Was the second Super Troopers even good?
You know, it wasn't as terrible as I had feared it could be, but it certainly did not rekindle all of the magic from the first one, in my opinion, at least. But I enjoyed it. I watched it. I'll say that. It's I played ice hockey growing up, and it was based. A lot of it takes place over the Canadian border, so I certainly appreciated a lot of it. ET to the SATAL.
Rack and Sack cheers 100. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah,
Biddies are always appreciated. And Tricky, I don't think I got your 15. He says, let your inner pirate come out. You know, I'm not a... I don't think I can embrace the... I can't do it. I don't have the... I'm not pirate enough.
It's not a pirate's life for you?
It's not a pirate's life for me, unfortunately. Tricky and Comey do it so well that I'm embarrassed to bring that out.
Well, being from Tampa, home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the largest pirate festival, I believe, in the world.
Well, speaking of the shirts, guys, there's a survey link down below. So, if you guys don't mind filling out a survey, give us some ideas what we're doing and stuff. But let us know if you think a shirt's a good idea. Let us know if you think if we did do a shirt, what you think we should put on the shirt. But let us know what we're doing right. Let us know what we're doing wrong. There's a survey link down below. Be greatly appreciated. Let's get back to the match. Watching these guys taxi. What are we watching? Number 15. So this is the battle axes again, and I think I saw a significant increase in the amount of ETs being taken by the number 15 side.
Too much. All right, interesting. So once again, big thing I'm looking for here off the start is formations. What are we going to see out of these formations? What is... Let's see, they swap sides. Pardon me one moment while I get my bearings right here. What are we going to see number 15 do in comparison to what they did last time? Being able to pull into this fight now with a full six fighters. You know, are we going to see something a little different than what we saw last time? Or are we going to see just 2 rows of 3 with 3 guys in the back supporting those 3 guys in the front shooting? I think that's certainly an interesting tactic, and it seems very effective, so...
Hold on, guys. I'm trying to get you the survey. There you go.
Seems like they're trying to turn my stash into a QR code. So look into that technology, see if we can't get that.
So it looks like the number 15 side is going to do the same formation they did last time with the 2 3 ships, which I think worked rather well, even without their 6th guy of Cougar, who entered late. I think it did decently well. It was a much better showing from the battle axes in round 2 than it was in round 1. I think the fight was much more even, but late the battle axes came out on top. I think it was just better executed into the merges by them than it was on the 36 side.
Interesting. I would have to agree with you there.
See if both teams are ready.
Looking like...
Trigger says, I want boxers that say Winchester or no joy. Tricker, awesome. I'll just give you the logo and you can put it on whatever you want. So, battle axes say they're ready. Not sure if 36 is ready. They gave the ready to taxi. They are finishing up taxiing down here. Still 3 bags coming from the 36th side. We're just waiting on a Singleton flanker B+ to finish his taxi, and we'll get round 3. We've had a bunch of round 3s lately. It's exciting. For a while, we didn't have any, and lately we've had a bunch.
Indeed.
And I don't care how this ends. It's just really exciting to have a 3rd round. I don't care if it ends in a tie. I don't care if it's decisive. I'm glad we get to do another one.
It may not be a game 7, but the old saying, everybody loves a game 7. Everybody loves an elimination game, a deciding match, if you will. There's nothing more exciting than that. So it certainly brings that heightened level of entertainment to what we do here. Like I said, and I think you're going to be seeing these guys grind here. The way these first 2 went down, both I think are going to be equally hungry coming into this.
I have to agree with you. We may see a more aggressive approach from both teams because of that hungriness and wanting to come out on top.
Absolutely, and that's what I think you're going to see, some aggressive, risky decisions being made, and I, for one, love risky, aggressive decisions.
So there goes the first 3 ship from the number 15 side. It's a lengthy delay between the second 3 ship departing.
And it looks like the 36 guys yeah, it looks like we're gonna have three flights out of the number 15 guys, and similar tactics to what we've seen throughout the first 2 rounds from the 36 guys.
Still waiting. I like what the number 15 guys are doing with their liveries here. They've got the lead in a different livery than the 2 wingmen. That's kind of cool. It looks visually appealing. I like that.
Indeed, indeed.
Still waiting. This is a decent amount of separation.
It's a bold strategy. See how that plays out.
Every time you say that, I just think about if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
We need to come up with a quality DCS equivalency for that reference.
I'd have to think about that. Chat, you got any ideas?
Yeah, there you go.
So,
throw that out there.
Hear them spooling up. Second 3 ship for the number 15 side should be taken off here momentarily.
Dodge a wrench, you can dodge an A120.
So Gafftastic says, what is it that I'm watching? So what you're watching is a 6v6 league that started in February. We run 1 match a month, or 1 match a week. 1,300 Zulu on SATAL every week. And we're 24 weeks in. So we're getting to the tail end of it. There's 30 rounds, and then we'll have an end of the year tournament between the top 4 seeds from each group. 12 teams, and they go in 6v6 to these matchups, squadron against squadron, and then best of 3, and may the best team win.
So playoffs around the corner, and for those of you who haven't checked out the standings, when you get a chance, there's a link below for the merge down there. You can see the schedule, the standings, and all that stuff. And I think as we start to get closer to the playoff stretch here, you know, those standings, those points these guys are all earning throughout these matches are going to be crucially important here. And I think everyone will agree as these teams approach their final matches of the regular season, everyone is just as important as the next. So knowing where these teams are at certainly helps make things a little bit more entertaining as you're watching here.
So DCS Toast says, damn, it's that long. Yeah, we made it that long so that it was easier for teams to schedule matches, because we found that SATAL or SATAC, when we ran it last year, it just turns into a cluster, and you expect squadrons to commit several weekends, and it's just not really fair to them. So we found that one weekend one 3-hour match every 5 or 6 weeks for a squadron isn't nearly as bad as, you know, having to denote a whole day or weekend to a match or tournament. So it's 30 weeks, and then the tournament will probably take a weekend or two, but we found it to be a lot better for the teams. It's a lot better for the viewership. Who is the fantasy SATAL points leader? Can we start a fantasy league? I don't know how we do that, in all honesty.
What you'd have to do is you'd have to come up with, you know, you'd probably only pick like 4 guys a piece or 5 guys a piece, but you'd have to come up with how people score here and how it affects it. Probably like some sort of 1-for-1 if you ever really wanted to do that.
True. Yeah, I don't know how you do that. It's a good idea. It'd be kind of fun. Separation between the two teams is now under 90 miles. Gotta fix something real quick.
Dodge 120. Dodge. Right. So those 2-3 flights look like they have a decent bit of separation between them at 13 miles, as where the 36 is still staying in that similar formation to what we've seen, I think, all 3 rounds for the most part. But they did shift a little bit as they got closer to the merge, so we'll see if that takes place again.
We are seeing them, 36, come in what they did in the first round and staying feet dry towards the feet hills. They're taking a western or an eastern offset, and I think this is more of an advantageous position for them. I think in round 2, when they stayed feet wet, it puts you at a disadvantage coming into that. And I'd like to see them feet dry. I think you can lose your bearings feet wet. When you get low, you lose the hills to hide behind. It's much easier to paint somebody with radar when you're feet wet. And I'd like to see the 15 guys come in feet dry here and give themselves that feet dry advantage.
I agree. You know, you have to think the terrain there is, you know, they're certainly trying to use that to their advantage in this. And, you know, I don't know about yourself, but I always enjoy having a nice little ridge behind me to shield myself from an incoming missile.
If that's how you feel there, Joel, teach their own, buddy. So Halfin says, why don't the squads separate altitude more? It makes it much harder to keep all the contacts on the radar and in close. Is there a reason they don't? Well, the main reason is because there's guys doing GCI in light ATC. So and on top of that, the altitude in the initial incursion makes it much easier to provide your missile with more energy, so it reaches the target at both a greater range and with more energy to maneuver, and it makes it harder for the defending bandit to defend. So a lot of times, and I don't know everything, but that's my gist of why you enter the fights high together, and then you descend coming into that to use the weeds to your advantage. But you want to give your weapons the biggest advantage you can, and yourself the biggest advantage you can, by giving yourself that altitude to energy conversion when you're descending.
36 is certainly doing that. Their cruising altitude looks to be around 30,000, 31,000 right now. And where do we have? Yep, same
Number
thing.
15's about the same.
Yep.
So real quick, Dut23 dropping the bit says Fox 1 kill 5 points, Fox 2 10 points, Fox 3 1 point, kill equals 100 points, partay.
Yeah,
I agree with you, buddy.
That's not a bad scoring system there, Dut. There you go.
So we're
there you go.
Getting closer. We're under 30 miles now, 25 now.
Yeah, it looks like. And now we've seen some separation out of 36. They've sent 2 of the pairs down to engage that first 3 flight, and the back pair of... What is this? Why can't I click? Yeah, there we go. Ginamla.
So we can see the guys marking from 36. If we look from, who is that, Vertical Charlie's perspective, you can see the markings as they come in, and it's almost like they're notching. They are. So Drigo and Falcon immediately go into a notch and now are defending. Merlin's doing the same. They may be just trying to get these guys' attention so that Ganalama and Viking can make something happen. But that R77 kind of gives the game away, launching from that distance.
It seems like the GCI for 36 made the choice to send 4 to try to get the numbers advantage against that initial 3 flight. That's it, at least from where I'm looking, it appeared to me. And it seems like they've now...
Oh boy! First kill of the day!
Yeah,
sorry for cutting you off.
There.
But one of the number 15 guys just goes into a casual stroll and banks to the right and takes one up the tailpipe. I didn't know that 120B was going to catch him, but he was a little too lackadaisical there, trying to defend that, and he pays for it.
And a crucial mistake early on from number 15 there. We'll see how that affects the end phase of this fight. And it looks like 36 is regrouped pretty well. They got one lone guy covering the back door up top, and then those other 4 seem to be working pretty effectively together.
I'd like to see, we haven't seen the rear 3 ship from the number 15 guys get into the fight yet. It's only been the front 3 ship, and I think a lot of it is they were too far separated to provide that mutual support.
We'll see how that affects things, though, because it does look like, although they did lose one, those initial, the first 2 guys are still giving almost the entire 36 squad a run for their money, and at least working them around pretty good. And that's, I'm assuming, saving gas and weapons on those back 3. So we'll see how that affects things later in the fight here. But it looks like we're seeing a bit more spreading out now from 36 in comparison, at least, to how spread out number 15 is.
I liked their tight-knit group, but they're significantly separated from all of their elements by around 6 to 8 nautical miles, which is that's
quite a bit.
That's a lot. They're heavily separated, which to provide mutual support, if you get in the shit, it's really hard when you're that far apart. It may not seem like it that much, but the difference of 10 or 15 seconds plays a lot.
I think we got a shot out there. Seeing flares out of somebody right now.
Just watching the F10 view. Nothing's really going down as of right now. Guys are taking pot shots and then extending. Nothing really all that decisive as of yet. We still have the 6 guys from 36, 5 now because Krieg got dispatched early. Much more defensive than we were in round 2. We could see the first merge or closer incursion happening between Drona and Merlin, but Drona puts an ET out on Merlin. There's the flares. He's still in gate, but that missile's not going to have the energy to get him. He's turning cold. That missile's done.
Yep. Well, it looks like both sides have kind of pulled back a little bit here and reset, and we'll see which one is the first to really get aggressive and push forward. Still a lot of long distance throws here.
Yeah, these long distance R77s, I don't know what's going on with those. Maybe they just launch them because they don't need to be supported, but you're not going to get a kill and you're wasting one of your close-in assets. And I don't know that I agree with that.
And I think all it's really doing, if there's any strategy to it, is just creating separation right now. It's
here comes another one. Moody Rider putting an R77 on Merlin from 8 miles on a cold bandit. Man, 120B coming from Italicus on Drona.
It's good energy.
It's got good energy, but Drona immediately split S's, and I don't think that 120B is going to have the energy to catch him. ET coming from Stiglitz on what looks to be Merlin. Could spell trouble, maybe. It was launched
He
from a
sees it, I
decent distance.
He's got one out himself, and now he's turning back.
Yeah, that ET's not going to have the energy to maneuver when he gets there. 120B coming on vertical Charlie. He goes into defend, puts it in the notch. Don't think that's going to be any trouble now. So still 5 remaining for the 15 boys and 6 remaining for 36. ET off the rail for Drigo. Coming across the valley. Who is that on? Could be on Cougar. But it's launched so far away. These guys are getting low enough. Line of sight it. Dead missile. Indeed, that thing is not tracking any longer.
But we still have 36 with a one-man advantage, correct?
Yes.
Interesting.
Both teams playing very passive. Italicus launching a 120B on what could be Stiglitz or Vertical Charlie. Another long R77 off the rails from Vertical Charlie. What's going on on there?
More.
All these missiles being launched from very defensive postures, and they're just the launch parameters they're giving these missiles on launch. Just they're not gonna do anything. Still very defensive. Separation between the two teams is still about 10 miles.
Yeah, both sides playing the cards close to the vest right now and not really wanting to make any risky maneuvers.
Merlin getting in deep now. This could be where the tide starts to change. He's pressing Drona. He's inside 4 nautical miles. Aim 9 coming off the rail. I don't think that's going to reach him. He's already cold. I don't think that's going to get him.
Terrain doesn't look favorable for it. Nope. Catches a ridge.
Yeah, it was launched a little bit too far away. Merlin makes the smart decision. He can't chase him down. Turns cold. ET going on Stiglitz. That's not going to catch the cold bandit. But
I'm cycling through... sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm cycling through planes right now, and we're certainly getting low on ammo here on all sides. Down to mostly IRs.
Merge possible between Falcon and Vertical Charlie. Vertical Charlie could be in trouble. And yeah, we do see him get splashed. He got it a little too deep, didn't drop the countermeasures early enough, and pays for it. Another ET coming off from Falcon. He's going balls to the wall now. Ooh. He's got an ET on Cougar. Cougar may not see that coming. No countermeasures. Ooh. Cougar gets dispatched. Falcon dies, but presses and takes multiple down with him. Moody Rider getting into the merge, dispatching 1. So we're down to a 2v4. So really while I don't like that Falcon died, he took down several with him.
That was impressive.
Are the 15 boys going to be able to regroup? Aim 9 coming on Stiglitz. Does he know it's coming? I don't think he does. No countermeasures being dropped. I think he's in trouble. And he is. Takes it. So we're down to 1 man, the lone rider, Moody Rider. What can he do? Merlin's on his 6. He's over Mach 1. You can see Merlin back there. He sees him. Does Merlin have anything? I don't see any 120s on him. I think he's got some aim 9s. He's closing the gap. There goes an aim 9. You got to drop flares. Pays for it. A little late.
Well, that was certainly interesting there. That went really quickly there. In a matter of 5 to 6 seconds, I think we lost 3 or 4 aircraft.
Yeah, I think it was about that. So now 36, the same way, almost exactly that the first round went down. 36 with 4 pilots remaining. And the number 15 boys get dispatched. Moody Rider just gets taken down. He recommitted. You got to drop flares during that recommit if you assume somebody's back there. And you drop flares a little bit too late when that missile's already all over you and not going to be very effective.
What did you see in that stood out to you?
In the round?
In that round, what did you think that 36 may have done that could have been the deciding factor there?
I think
Anything that
what
jumped
really
out?
changed the tide there was 36 was able to press the advantage. Falcon in particular got in there, got in deep, and was able to capitalize on getting in deep. He didn't just trade and dispatch one guy. He was able to get in and take down multiple before he got dispatched. And I think that was the game changer. Did I like him going in there unsupported? Not really. But he made the best of it and was able to capitalize on the discombobulation or confusion that the number 15 guys had in their formation.
I tend to agree with you there. I think that aggressiveness, albeit how it worked out, was one of the deciding factors of his ability to just drive the nail home and get that kind of furball going, or furball if you want to call it that. Just the speed and ferocity of the way that went down was pretty amazing.
So we'll go ahead and have these guys RTB. Since we haven't had an RTB yet, sometimes these guys like to RTB. It gives us a little bit of a decompression after that. Pretty sure 36 is going to take this one 2-1. Chat, what do you think? You guys haven't given me much input on what's going on, how you felt about these rounds, but what do you think? Do you think both teams could have done differently? What do you think both teams could have done better? What do you think they did right? I would have liked to see the 15 boys be a little more disciplined when Falcon came in. I think it was just there was a lot of chaos. Nobody picked up Falcon when he got into that formation, and it just spelled disaster as he came in there unopposed. And yeah, they picked him up probably after seeing the missile launches come off the rails, because I think he was in a J11 or a 27, but I think that was the difference. Is Falcon pressed his advantage, and the 15 boys weren't able to sort or see Falcon when he came into their formation.
And I tend to agree with Kami there. I think number 15 got a little too spread, and I think with the combination of that and 36 running that in and out pattern, just as well as, Nubs commented on that earlier, that it seemed to have that in and out pattern running in a pretty good, function there. It seemed to be moving pretty smoothly. And I think that in comparison to that really spread out 3-3 flight that number 15 was using may have pulled them a little bit further apart than they may have wanted to be. And I think that in and out pattern that 36 was running was positioned pretty well to kind of take advantage of that.
I agree. I think when number 15 came in, I think we're going back to the spread out thing, but I liked their formation, the 3 ship and then the trail 3 ship, but I think it was just they were a little too far apart, in my opinion.
I think
the webcam's back on, but I think they were a little too far apart to provide the support that needed to happen. And I think the first 3 ship was by themselves during that incursion for a little too long.
I tend to agree there. I think when we measured it, there were about 15 nautical miles spread coming into that. I don't know where it ended up shaping up as they got closer to Bulls, but 15 does seem like a bit.
Well, not even between the 2-3 ships. The 3 ship themselves, from the center to the 2 wingmen out in the left and right, was a little too separated.
Yeah, I think when we checked that earlier in the rounds, I think they were using it about 5 to 6 miles, even in some cases further than 6 miles spread between each other. So certainly more than combat spread at that point, and I think we saw the problems that can impose. But once again, maybe they had a different intention for why they were doing that, and we just didn't get to see it pan out.
Possibly. Not really sure, but
Indeed.
Kami says, rule number 1, don't enter a fight you didn't start. Yeah, I tend to agree, because you're entering a fight that you don't have any definitive advantage in. So if he's already firing at you, you don't want to then try and pull into him because he's already nose on you, and you could put yourself at a significant disadvantage going into that. Hawk says, I lost the first 2 rounds, but I saw the last one. That was very defensive tactics by both teams, and it's normal act. And I react when you are one-on-one. However, good job, number 15, and congratulations to the 36 Normo. Hawk said it perfect. I think it's great job to both teams. We as spectators can kind of throw things out. I guess I missed these guys landing. We can throw things out as we're just watching, but there's a lot to take in when you're flying in these matches. It's not like flying on 104th. It's not like, you know, you're just out for a casual stroll. Your adrenaline's pumping the whole time, even on takeoff. You're trying to do what you can. You know you got like 100, 120 people watching you, and it's a different feeling.
And I think, to what Hawk said there is, you know, as before the match, you know, you and I kind of commented, we thought we were going to see some aggressive tactics here as the match was 1-1. And I think what we saw is we saw them both come out and play very defensive and you know, play things tight to the vest there. And then as time and fuel started to kind of run down and the match started to get deep into it, I think you saw desperation kind of come out. Somebody knew that a move needed to be made at some point there. And I think we saw that decision making. I was talking, there's aggressive decision making that all kind of happened, like we said, within a 5 to 10 second span there. You saw a lot of stuff happen. So just interesting to see the way that 1-to-1, you know, the way that can kind of force hands and cause people to do things a little differently.
Well, and I think it was Falcon that got that started. He decided that I see an advantage. Even if it gets me killed, I'm going to press it. And that's exactly what happened. I think he killed like 3 people when he went in there. And
absolutely,
that was good to see.
Yeah, take a hit to make a pass, as they say, right? You know, go in there. If you know you're going to put somebody in a good position, you might get killed doing it.
I mean, I'm not going to condone that as the correct tactic, but it ended up paying off, and it worked out for what the 36 Stormo were trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it certainly got the music started. There's no doubt about it. Interesting. Looks
Watching
like
these
guys are pulling in.
Last couple guys, RTB and land. We'll recap on the TAC view later. We're going to have the ITGC Vertical Charlie in here to talk about the round. He'll give us a little rundown on the number 15 battle axes and what they're all about, and then we'll go over the TAC view with right after that, I think. Well, we might do the TAC view before. I think we'll do the TAC view before.
How do you think the aircraft selection played into this, all 3 rounds today? And do you think that there was a big factor?
I don't know that the 15s really played a significant role. His vertical speed's pretty significant. He was able to flare out there at the end, but he put it down. Do we have one more RTB? We do.
Yep.
I don't know that the F-15s played a very significant role. I didn't really see too many 120B kills. I saw a lot of IR kills coming in there.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think we saw a couple guys were able to sneak some AIM-9 kills out, but for the most part, I think that was all we saw really out of the F-15s. But understandable in a match of this nature where the ranges are so key. You know, when you're outnumbered in that department, I think that plays a factor into it.
Just watching the last boy from 36th touchdown. We'll jump to the TAC view. We're going to throw on Vertical Charlie sent me a fan video that they did, which is actually pretty good, and then we'll jump to the interview. So that should be all she wrote in here. Switch back to the desk and jump to the TAC view here. Sorry guys, just give me a second while I grab the TAC view. And got it. Bring this up. Go over this right quick. And let's go through this. So, the round played out much like round 1. And with the exception that there was that early kill right there, and I think it was on Krieg. And this was like the first exchange. This was the first volley that happened. And I don't know what. Maybe it was Italicus. He came in rather fast. So that missile's moving pretty good. And Krieg just defends really late. And he's kind of lackadaisical when he defends. and he just pays for it because of that.
Yep, just holding on a little too long.
I don't know what happened there. I think he was just a little too relaxed. And that can happen when you come into these engagements. You're a little too relaxed coming into the fight. You think it's going to play out. You think you're going to have time, and then boom, you're dead.
Kind of sneaks up on you.
Sound like John Madden right there. And then boom! It's what happened when a missile hits you. You tend to die. So we see Krieg get dispatched early, and then they go really defensive for a while. Plays out a lot like round one plays out.
I was going to say, it's almost as if when they lost Krieg early, it kind of pushed things kind of back on both sides there, a little bit tighter, if you will.
It did, but then here's I think a mistake by Vertical Charlie. He gets in too deep, and maybe it's not by him, but nobody sorts. This is when Falcon presses. Falcon is... Why can I not see how low he is? Because it's not telling me. Hold on, guys. Well, regardless. So Falcon gets in here, and I'll address this for next round. And he's not sorted when he comes in here. And he actually kills with a 73, and then he immediately puts an ET out here on Drona. I'm going to chalk this one up to altitude. That Falcon must have been really low coming in here. Comey says 3D viewer. I'll work on my TAC view skill, guys, but let's just run with this for now. He gets 3 kills. 3 kills coming in here. He dispatches Drona, or Vertical Charlie, with the 73. ET immediately on Drona, and then right after that, puts another ET on Cougar, and it's just they don't sort him. And it's game over, essentially, at that point for the number 15 guys. And Drona is able to get an R77 off the rails on Falcon, and Falcon can't do anything because it's so close. But that right there, ladies and gentlemen, was the game changer. That was the game-changing moment in that round that swung this to the 36 side. Falcon going in, getting 3 kills, and that was all she wrote. So we do see... Go ahead.
So you have to think that's a conscious decision by Falcon there to push in, knowing he's probably past the point of no return with that, and staying hard with it. You know, that decision making happens so quickly, but interesting move on his part to just keep pushing through there, knowing that he was probably going to get paid off for it. You know,
I think he went in and did that move consciously. With how fast he was able to sort targets, I think he saw them all, said, I see a bunch, I'm going to go kill him even if I die. We do see Moody Rider up here against Gonalma, being able to dispatch him in a merge. And then he just puts himself in a really bad position against Drigo and Merlin. And then down here we see Stiglitz against Viking and Italicus. And Italicus gets this sneaky aim 9 off. No countermeasures being dropped from Stiglitz, and he just eats a missile he doesn't see. And then Moody Rider's all by his lonesome with 2 guys all over his ass. And you can't do anything. And recommits right here. This is what spelled the end for Moody Rider. He recommits without dropping flares. He drops them late. But by that point, Merlin is so close, and I'm going to assume that Moody Rider is still in gate, that you're not going to be able to do anything. You're dead. Game over. Yep. And that's all she wrote. So, guys, I'm going to show you. We're going to put up the number 15 Battle Axes fan video. I'm going to get stuff set up for the end of the game, or end interview with Vertical Charlie, and we'll go from there. So I'll see you guys in a couple minutes. Enjoy.
Photographs, paint mistakes in your suitcase. So listen, conversation. I've lost just the way I want to be. The fool in your suitcase. Soldier, shine on with your conscience open, and the curtain falls in with the drums. Soldier, come on. When the final cut plays and the chorus comes, you're the conversation, I'm the game. You take my confidence from sin to grave. Make me strong, push me on, and take a chance. Learn to jump the waves. So questions, are we playing? Is your card an ace? Am I the joker in your hand, or a friend on a bad day? More than speaking, more than thinking, silently you're on my side. No disguise, no hide and seeking, mouth to mouth you saved my life. Soldier, shine on with your conscience open, and the curtain falls in with the drums. Soldier, come on. When the final cut plays and the chorus comes, you're the conversation, I'm the game.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I traded Joel for Vertical Charlie from number 15 Battle Axis, formerly known as ITGC. Man, what a round. And I started doing these interviews, Charlie, about trying to give the community an idea of what the squadrons are and what everybody's about. So do you want to give us a brief history about ITGC, now known as number 15, maybe the name change, and just tell us who you are, what you guys are doing, and yeah, go from there.
All right. First of all, I'd like this opportunity to thank you guys. First, one of both Hitler and all of the sponsors. This is a great opportunity for young squadrons and even older squadrons like yours, wherein we keep on learning. Thanks a lot for that. And I'll move on to the squadron part. We are actually air arm of a big, actually one of the biggest communities in Asia, called Milsim India, which was formerly known as ITGC. So we have around maybe 1,000, 2,000 people, and we host 6-7 servers throughout the year, 24/7. With regards to the squadron was formed in 2015, and well, we started off as an Indian squadron, and later on we evolved with people all around the globe, right from US till everybody. I mean, from Southeast
Hey,
Asia,
real quick,
Asia,
Charlie,
Middle East.
can you move the mic a little bit away from your mouth? See if that helps at all.
Roger.
Try that. All right, sorry to cut you off.
And not at all, not at all. So yeah, I mean, we started off in 2015, and then we built it along. A lot of people joined us. Coons from 51st Squadron erstwhile joined us, and there were a couple of people. One guy from 104th, and then they took up our training. We trained a lot with 104th as well, and I'd like to thank them for that as well. And yeah, that's it about the squadron, I guess.
So what happened with the name change? I mean, what you guys were ITGC, now you're number 15 Battle Axes. What was the idea there? I think you said that you guys are actually, ITGC is a large group.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, in context of DCS, it wasn't that, I mean, important, sort of connected to DCS. So we wanted a squadron name, and since we are modeled after the Indian Air Force, so we modeled this squadron, the number 15, the name as well as the tags, everything is after the Indian Air Force. So that's why we shifted to number 15. Number 15 is the year of our basically forming, 2015. And yeah, that's why the change.
Okay, well that makes sense. That's I got what you're putting down. So let's talk now. Are you guys? Let me make sure my mic's working. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk now about what exactly happened in the match. So take me through the thought process. What happened in round one? I think you guys got caught on your back foot a little bit. You told me that this isn't your normal squadron. You had 2 cadets flying with you. So I think that can normally play a significant role in a lot of this because it's you're not flying with who you normally are. You're not flown in. So a huge credit to even being able to do that. I mean, it's hard enough to get into these events with the guys you normally fly with and then taking 2 new guys that you're not used to flying with and say, hey, we're going to take you in here. I mean, that's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, though this is not our normal SATAL team, we had 2 of our pretty experienced pilot drop out. However, I think Otto and Moody did pretty well. We threw them into the cage, and they still managed to survive. It was very unfortunate that in the 3rd round Otto got killed. But yeah, I mean, we as a squadron are very young, as you already know, and we are training ourselves while training our cadets. So it's a continual process that is there. But yeah, that's that's it. Yeah.
Well, what was it just that the early incursion with Krieg and then Falcon in the round 3? I mean, I was heartbroken when Krieg went down because I knew that was going to be a game changer. But was it just the difficulty of losing where people were and being already a man down that kind of just changed it for in round 3? I mean, take us through what happened. I know it's not necessarily the funnest thing to talk about, but it's always interesting to hear from a pilot's perspective on what went down.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to 36. They did a phenomenal job. They were as tight as anybody could be. Their extension cycles coming in, going back out, everything was impeccable. And they were draining us out of missiles. And once the missiles, they start draining, you sort of actually panic. And once that panic sets in, that's where you start to falter. And that is when we, I mean, auto dying was maybe, yes, it was wrong, but it was not the pivotal point. The pivotal point was us losing situational awareness,
right,
as well as panicking when we were down, and that's what led to Falcon getting into our ranks and then wreaking havoc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know how that feels because I think we had the same thing happen to us against TAW, so I know how that feels. But to wrap this up, I mean, I should say it's been a pleasure having you guys in competing SATAL. Do you guys have any rounds remaining? We're getting closer to the end.
Yep. Sadly, this was the last round, but yeah, okay. I mean, it was a lot of fun. We'll train, come back next year.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah, I hope we have you back next year. And we got the end of the year tournament, but yeah, hopefully we'll do season 2. But it's been a pleasure having you guys be part of this. I always enjoy training with you. We did some stuff with you guys yesterday, and it's always fantastic to do things with you guys. But I appreciate you taking the time to come out here and chat with us. I think it's big for the community to be able to put a face to a lot of who these squadrons are and who these people are that they watch on SATAL. So I appreciate it. But yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. We'll leave it there.
Yeah, not at all, man. Not at all. It was our pleasure. Thank you for having us in this tournament, and I mean, letting young squadrons grow. They're learning a lot on the way, and yeah, I think it'll grow better and better. I mean, even 51st over the years must be evolving, and I'm sure so will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'll leave it there. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us for week 24 of SATAL. We'll be back next week. I don't know who's flying. Let me check that for you real quick. Who's flying next week? I shouldn't have been such an idiot and had this up. But we do these every week at 1300 Zulu. Don't think I've got any interviews scheduled with any of the teams, but we'll see if I can get anybody figured out. See if we can get this same thing going. We've got giveaways and stuff coming up with Heat Blur. Don't think it's next week, but watch for those and the announcements coming out and coming forward. Who's next week? And next week is actually 51st versus Chinese Festival, so I think I'll be flying in it, and Joel will be doing the broadcast by himself. So until then, guys, I won't see you, but Joel will. I'll catch you next week, 1300 Zulu for week 25 of SATAL, 51st versus the Chinese Festival. As always, have a good one.